question is, last time Frey already ጀምሮታል. We want to establish a good platform where you guys are ready to practice high availability and disaster recovery solution. So we're gonna work on Azure today. ቅዳሜ ደግሞ we're gonna practice on Oracle, VM and on-prem ይሆናል ማለት ነው እሱ። So I'm gonna share my screen and start working on Azure. So last time I think screenaችሁ share ስታደርጉ የተወሰናችሁት you already have an Azure ላይ 4 ኖዶች አንድ DC እና 3 ሜምበር ኖዶች አላችሁ። የተወሰናችሁት ደግሞ I think Oracle ላይ ሰርታችኋል. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. So everybody is going to be on the same page for next week after Sunday. ሁሉም ሰው ሬዲ እንዲሆን ማለት ነው። always on hands on practice ለማድረግ so let me share my screen. Okay, Pasika, you start recording. Perfect. All right. ይታያል አይደል? ይታያል?
No, ይታያል።
Okay, good. All right. So there is an outline that I prepared for this session. So it's just it's what I'm gonna use to go step by step, so you guys could also follow with me. It would be nice, እየሰራችሁ ብትከተሉኝ, especially for those of you guys who have not already finished this. So this is I put this together so we could work together. already የሰራችሁት ደግሞ የሆነ issue አጋጥሟችሁ, for example because of IP address issue or any other reason fail እያደረገ ካስቸገራችሁ, I hope ይሄ outline as we go through today, I hope it helps you. So first thing, we're gonna go to most of you, I hope you know how to set up an Azure portal. So Azure is a cloud environment which is manufactured by Microsoft. So it's basically a on-prem ተመሳሳይ የሆነ environment ነው. So it has a lot of features, VM አለው, SQL server አለው, SQL Azure VM just like a physical computer እንደምትጠቀሙት, virtually on the cloud there is a computer. So in order to access Azure, we just type Azure portal in your search bar, and you use your Microsoft account. You just log in with your email, and if you don't have if you never used Azure before, መጀመሪያ $200 credit ይሰጣችኋል. So that is good for a month. So within a month ከተጠቀማችሁም አልተጠቀማችሁም expire ያደርጋል. But it's very good first start ለማድረግ በቂ ይመስለኛል. The problem with the 200 free 1 month credit, አንዳንድ ፊቸሮቹ quota limited ነው. So it might prevent you from freely install multiple nodes. I think some of you guys who come to the office might be having that issue. IP address የሚሰጠው IP address resource wise limited ነው. I think in most of the regions like geo zones የሚባሉት ማለት ነው, cloud የማይክሮሶፍት Azure cloud የሚቀመጡባቸው ዞኖች ላይ ፕሮቫይድ የሚያደርጋቸው የአይፒ አድሬሶች ሊሚትድ ናቸው. most of them are 3 የተገደቡ ናቸው. This is to make sure resource contention እንዳይሆን ነው. ፍሪም ስለሆነ በክሬዲት ስለሆነ እንደ መማሪያ ብቻ እንዲጠቀም ሰው ሊሚት ያደርገዋልና ለዛ ትንሽ ሊያስቸግር ይችላል እንጂ ለእጅ ለማፍታታት it's enough. So today I'm using a pay as you go subscription, which is basically an upgrade from the 200 credit. So ከአንድ ወር በኋላ upgrade ካላደረጋችሁት 200 ስለሚቃጠል ዞሮ ያን subscription ለመጠቀም you either have to upgrade or አዲስ በሌላ credit card ካልከፈታችሁ ያ ብር ይቃጠላል ማለት ነው. So on mine what I did is I just updated as I run out of the credit. So pay as you go ይባላል እሱ እንትኑን ሴትአፕ ስታረጉ ኢንቫይሮንመንቱን በጣም ቆጥባችሁ የተወሰነ ኮስት ያልሆነውን ከተጠቀማችሁ it's not that expensive. So today as we go through these steps of setting up the nodes, we're going to see how much it would cost us. So with that said, let's start. So the first thing that we do whenever we create something, a resource on Azure, is everything is going to be contained in a resource group. So just to give you a little information about how to browse around on Azure environment, is this is like a menu, the left hand layer. So everything will be listed here as a resource. All services, everything will be listed down with the different category. For example, if we come on the left side of the screen, you can see that it's divided in a lot of sections. General Milos here, for example, it lists the main usually accessed resources. There's a computing relative virtual machine but area now, networking storage look in the local computer, disk on the Azure environment ላይ መጠቀም ይቻላል። storage ገዝቶ መጠቀም ይቻላል። with the free subscription also there is some a storage that you can use, just like a regular computer laptopአችሁ እንደምትጠቀሙት cloud ላይ መሆኑ ነው እንጂ ልዩነቱ it's basically it has all the resources. Actually it has way much more it's better than local computer ማለት ነው. So in order to have an environment suitable for always on, we need to create at least four nodes ያለው environment create እናደርግና ከአራቱ አንዱ domain controller እናደርግና የተቀሩትን ሶስቱን ደግሞ we're gonna make them member nodes on which we're gonna install SQL Server. So let's start by creating a resource group. Like I said, everything will be contained or will be stored in a resource group. It's like a basket that contains everything in it. So ማንኛውም ሪሶርስ ክሬት ሲደረግ ማንኛውም አይተም on Azure resource group ውስጥ መቀመጥ ስላለበት I think it's more logical to start by creating a resource group. ለምሳሌ ወረድ ብላችሁ instead of creating a resource group, if you start creating a virtual machine, እሱ ራሱ eventually ወደዛ ያመራቸዋል። መጀመሪያ resource group create አድርጉ ይላል። ስለዚህ to avoid that and to have our own naming convention, I'm going to start by creating a resource group, step 1 ማለት ነው. So I come here, go to the menu, resource group እንመርጣለሁ. So I will say create. So subscription ያሳየኛል. If we have more than one subscription, it's going to be listed here, but since I only have one, that's all I can see here. So let's call it RG. Here in the next option would be choosing the region where I want my resources to be stored. On Eastern US ነው ያለነው, ግን it's better to go outside the US because አንደኛ cost wise, ሁለተኛ ደግሞ አንዳንድ ሪሶርሶችን አሜሪካ ውስጥ አሁን ብዙ ለመጠቀም እየከበደ ነው. So we're going to use, especially for the cost purpose, ራቅ ያለ ወደ ሴንትራል ኢንዲያ Asian Pacific ያሉ ሀገሮች ያሉትን ሪሶርሶች እንጠቀማለን. For you guys also I suggest the same, especially Central India. I think it's so far ካየዋቸው ውስጥ it's one of the cheapest. So እሱን select እናደርጋለን, and then we just click next. Here it's not that important, tag, just click next. So the first thing that you see, if you see the screen sign saying validation passed, that means everything is good to go. So create እንለዋለን. So our resource group, which is like a container of everything that we are about to create, is gonna be okay. Go ahead, Miskin. You have a question?
Yeah, እየተከተልኩ ነው ያለውና ቫሊዴት አላደረገውም. Is there any reason ኔሙና ቫልዩን ስላላስገባ ነው ወይንስ ምን ሪዝን አለው?
ይሄ ያው ሪሶርስ ግሩፕ ክሬት ሳደርግ ነው ቫሊዴት ያደርጋል።
Yeah.
Did you enter አሁን ያስገባሁትን ሁሉ አስገብተሃል?
ትክክል ያስገብቻለሁ።
Do you have all subscriptions? Like
Yes, I do.
subscription, it's good. Can you share your screen so we can address this before or everybody else is following me at the same time ወይስ ዝም ብላችሁ እያያችሁ ነው? ሌላም ሰው ኮንሰርን ካለው ደግሞ ያስቸገራችሁ ካለ አድሬስ እያደረገ እንደሚሄድ ሼር አድርግ አመስግን ፕሊዝ።
እሺ
ትንሽ ሰጀሽን አለ ሚሊ። እያንዳንዱ ሰው አሁን አመስግን እንደሚያደርገው ነገር እያደረግን ብንል እርግጠኛ ነኝ ሰቨራል ዴይስ አይበቃንም። ስለዚህ ጀስት ቪዲዮ ሪከርድ ስለሚሆን አሁን እኔ ፐርሰናሊ በእንትን ነኝ ኦራክል ነኝ። ስለዚህ ምንም ችግር የለብኝም። ይህንንም ማወቁ ለእኔ ፕላስ ነው። ስለዚህ ራስ በአንተ ፕላን ብትሄድ ውል ቢ ሞር እንትን አለበዛ እያንዳንዱ ሰው እንትን እያልኩ ካልክ ዴስ ኤንድ ዴስ እንትን ይላል። that's my personality.
Okay, yeah, I think I agree with that. Go ahead, Mili.
Okay, thank you for that. I think was it Amaskin or Amaskin? Thank you for the input. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Let's wait until the end, maybe I'll cast a direction.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you, Mili.
Okay, guys. All right. So it looks like a resource group is created. So the next step we move up following step 2 is creating virtual network. So the other thing about this step that follows is VM machine it's to have virtual network already created and well configured.
ድምፅ አይሰማም ይላል።
Hold on.
ይቆራረጣል።
ድምፁ ስክራች አለው።
Okay, one second. Can you hear me guys now?
Much
Am I
better.
loud?
Much better.
Yes.
Sorry about that. I had a bad headphone. So as the next step, we're gonna go ahead and create so on step 2, we're gonna create a virtual network. So for Lazam, we just go to the home page again, to the dashboard, or I'm sorry, to the home. So here we click on a virtual network, create. Then we choose the resource group. Here, ቅድም ለምሳሌ resource group create ስላደረኩኝ እሱን ያስመርጠኛል ማለት ነው. This is one of the reasons I created the resource group, because we're going to be asked which resource group we're going to use for all the resources that we are about to create moving forward. ቅድም create አድርጌው if I didn't create it earlier, it would have asked me to create a new one. ግን already ስላለኝ I'm just going to pick this. So here I give it a name, the virtual network. I can call it Baro VNet. You guys could call it anything, but I choose this so it's easy to remember. So naming convention moving forward is everything is gonna have Baro in front, and then the name of the item that I create. So you could choose whatever you want, but this is my naming convention that I'm gonna follow. So then I go to the IP address page. Here, by default, Azure gives you an IP address which looks like this. It starts with 10.0.0.0 /16. ይሄንን መቀየር እንችላለን, but we have to know what kind of IP addresses are good to use. So ለምሳሌ there is a page that I was ready to use earlier on Microsoft page, which shows the list of IP addresses available for ለመጠቀም ፍሪ የሆኑ IP addresses አሉ። Give me 1 second. My bad. I think I bookmark አድርጌዋለሁ መሰለኝ። Yeah. So this page I can share it with you guys at the end of this session. List ያደርግልናል available የሆኑ IP addresses. This is on Microsoft website. So ለምሳሌ እዚህ ጋር እነዚህን IP addresses መጠቀም ትችላላችሁ ይላል with some exceptions. ለምሳሌ down here እነዚህን መጠቀም ትችላላችሁ ይልና but about 5 IP addresses of these are reserved for the system ወይም ደግሞ ለአንደር ሪሶርሶች ሪዘርቭ የተደረጉ ናቸው። እነሱ ምንድን ናቸው? The first 4 from the beginning ለምሳሌ 172.16.0.1.2 እስከ 3 1 to 3 then የመጨረሻው 255 is reserved, so you could use anything that's within that range. So we can grab whatever is our choice. I usually like this IP address, so soon copy aragona, I bring it over here. I can get rid of this and then they ያስቸግራል, so you could change around and play with it. So የመጨረሻ prefix ያስፈልገዋል። So እዚህ ጋር እቺ right ምልክት ከሰጠኝ it means it's accepted it. So this is good IP address that I'm gonna use. As soon as you delete the default IP address, እዚህ ጋር ያለውም subnet ይጠፋል። So ይሄንን ከዚህ ጋር የሚመሳሰል subnet እዚህ ጋር create ማድረግ አለብን because we deleted the earlier one. So new አድለውና new ይመጣል እዚህ ጋር subnet for the virtual network ማለት ነው። So the virtual network is kind of like a network that the machines are going to communicate over. ስለዚህ እንትኑ ደግሞ ሰብኔት የሚባለው ደግሞ we can create sub like sub ከስሙ ኢንዲኬት እንደሚያደርገው የኔትወርኩ ሰብ ተቀጥያ የሆነ ኔትወርክ ማለት ነው። So we create like a private network they communicate across ማለት ነው። So we're gonna have similar IP address over here 192.168.0.0. We could use a different prefix. Sorry, I was supposed to enter the name here. Let me cut it here. Subnet 1 ልበለው ስሙን እዚህ ጋር ነው ማስገባት የፈለኩት። paste. So ይሄንንም accept ያደርጋል። You could use a different sometimes numberውን እየቀያየራችሁ ትሞክራላችሁ accept እስኪያደርገው ድረስ። So ይሄንንም accept አድርጓል። So I'll just go ahead and say add. accept ካደረገው right ምልክቷን ካላሳየ it's not going to take it. ከፈለግን ሌላ subnet መጨመር እንችላለን. It's not required, especially በጣም ካስቸገረን ሁለተኛውን subnet አልሰጥም ካለ አንዱም በቂ ነው። But we usually try to create 2 subnets, one for the domain controller. አሁን እዚህ ጋር ክሬት ከምናረጋቸው ኖዶች ውስጥ we create one dedicated subnet for domain controller. ከዛ ሌላ ተጨማሪ አንድ subnet ለnode 1, node 2 and node 3 create እናረጋለን። ግን if we're not successful it's okay because either way they're all going to be in one domain. They could communicate over that network ማለት ነው. So let's call it subnet 2. Let's try to give a different number this time. Let me try this if it works. እንዳልኳችሁ it's a little tricky because ይሄ Azure environment ላይ ስለሆነ እየሰራን ያለ ነው። ምን አይነት IP address እንደ reserved ሆኖ ሌላ ሰው እንደወሰደ ወይም ደግሞ Azure reserve እያደረገልን እንደሆነ ማወቅ አንችልም። So luckily this one is also accepted. So the only difference I made right here is ከ168 ቀጥሎ instead of 0 1 አረኩኝ .0 /26 አረኩኝ። So okay, so here we have an IP address that starts with 192.168 and the subnet which also starts with the same number but a little difference at the end, especially with subnet 2. Then we go to the next page which is security. We could just leave this guys as the default. tag is not that important. So review and create, and then it's going to run a validation just like it did earlier. Resource group and create scenario. So that's good. Validation passed. We just say create. Okay. So that's step 2, I believe. Yep. Yeah, step 2. We created an IP address with 2 subnets. Okay. And then as soon as we, set up the resource group and the virtual network, we're gonna go to creating an availability set in the same resource group and the same zone, which is Central India, using the IP address we just created. So this is very logical step to follow to go like this, because አንዱ ለሌላኛው እንደ መነሻ ስለሚሆን ለምሳሌ ቅድም everything create ስናደርግ something is blocking me from moving my cursor right here. Yeah. So resource group የሁሉም ስቶሬጅ ስለሆነ እሱ ከሌለ ማንኛውንም ሪሶርስ ከዛ በኋላ ክሬት ስናደርግ እሱን ስለሚጠይቅ እሱ መነሻ ይሆናል። then ሁሉም ኖዶች ቨርቹዋል ኔትወርክ ላይ ስለሆነ ኮሚኒኬት የሚያደርጉት ቀድመን ክሬት አድርገን የምንፈልገውን አይፒ አድሬስ ኮንፊገር ማድረጉ ኢትስ ኢምፖርታንት። አዘርዋይዝ ሪሶርስ ግሩፕ እነዚህን ሁለቱን ክሬት ሳናደርግ ቀጥታ ዘለን ኖዶች ክሬት ስናደርግ የሚሰጠን ኦፕሽን ዲፎልት ነው። ሶ በኋላ ተመልሰን ኤዲት ማድረግ ነው እንጂ ኦን ዘ ፍላይ እያስተካከለን መሄድ አንችልም ማለት ነው። ሶ ይሄ ኖቲፊኬሽን icon ነው እዚህ ጋር ነው የምናየው። every time we create something and we deploy something and it's successful or failed የሚሆን successful, this is a notification center. So let's go to step 3. Availability set create እናደርጋለን. Again, we go to the home page just to find everything. They're going to be on the home page. Availability set እዚህ ጋር አንዳንዴ እኔ ከዚህ በፊት ስለተጠቀምኩባቸው probably ፊት ለፊት ይሆናሉ፣ ግን ማታያቸው ከሆነ you can just search here. Just type their names and they're going to show up, all of them. Let's say resource group. Get here. Network connection, IP address, everything is going to be in here. So for now, we're just going to create the availability set. You could just search in the search tab, or if it's on your home page, you could choose it here. And then let's create our availability set. Availability set ማለት ምንድነው? Since we're gonna be setting up always on, availability means basically በተለያዩ ጂኦ ዞኖች ለምሳሌ ኢስት ኮስት ኦር ዌስት ኮስት ላይ ያሉ ሁለት ዳታ ሴንተሮች ቢኖሩን አቬይላቢሊቲ ሴት ውስጥ መቀመጥ አለበት ማለት ነው ሪሶርሱ። So here again, like I said earlier, it always asks us to pick a resource group where we're gonna put our item in. So I picked our RG resource group, and then we give the name. Why is this always showing up? Let me manage this. Sorry about that. All right. So we're going to give a name, availability set. Again, my naming convention is Barrow first, and then availability set, avail set low. The region is the same, Central India. I don't know if you guys could see this. I can block cursor. I'm just gonna move it in the corner so it doesn't bother me anymore. I'm sorry? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do that next time. So advanced, thank you for that. Review and create. Again, validation run yaragal like we did earlier. As soon as the validation passed, we could say create. So we did this so far. We did step 1 to 3. Okay. As soon as that is successfully created, we go to the next step. So the next step is now we are ready to create the virtual machines, because we need the basic things that we need for a good node to be hosted on a virtual Azure environment. So we go to the home page again. See, like I said earlier, all the successful deployments or failed deployments will be in the notification center. So for virtual machines, there is sometimes Azure Virtual የሚል አለ confuse የሚያደርግ So make sure you are installing the right kind of virtual machine. የአዥሯ እንደዚህ ሲኩዌል የምትል ነገር ውስጥ ትጻፋለች። So this one, it's a computer ስዕል and then it says virtual machine. You could type it here, or you could just find it in the resources. It's all over the web page ማለት ነው. So we choose the virtual machines. We are ready to create the first virtual machine, which we're going to use as a domain controller. Choose create Azure virtual machine. Okay. Here we go again. The resource group is always going to show up to be picked. So I choose RG resource group. I give the name to the first virtual machine I'm going to use. I'm going to call it Baro DC. It's got DC channel quick, so let me correct that. Okay. And then again, the region is going to be Central India for the infrastructure. Availability set one kadme step 2 ላይ or 3 ላይ availability set ስለመረጥኩኝ I'm going to choose availability set. I also created the set, so I choose the availability set that I created on step 3. The security type standard ብንለውም ችግር የለውም. Now here is where we decide what kind of operating system we need for this machine. So we're going to use Windows server ለዚህ purpose ለሶስቱም ለአራቱም ኖዶች. So there are list of a lot of operating system አሉ. Oracle Linux አለ, Ubuntu አለ, a lot others, even Windows 10, Windows 11 አለ. ግን full feature and capability ያለው for a good failover environment Windows server ነው. So I'm going to choose Windows Server 2019 data center 2. You could use 2016 ከፈለጋችሁ, whichever is easy for you, but for this purpose I'm going to use 2019. So I choose that generation 2. And then here is where you decide what kind of vCore you're going to use. ኮስቱንም ታዩታላችሁ እዚህ ጋር ሜሞሪውን ምን ያህል እንደሚወስድባችሁ. So if you want to change or you want to minimize this, scale down or up ማድረግ ከፈለጋችሁ, all you have to do is just click here and you could see all the sizes. Okay, so I prefer the B general purpose ውስጥ B is more ብዙ ሪሶርሶችን for less price provide ያደርጋል. For example እዚህ ጋር B2 is የሚለው general purpose ሆኖ it gives true vCore CPU, which is a virtual operating system and a virtual processor. I'm sorry, virtual CPU ሁለት ይሰጠናል, which is pretty good. 4 RAM, 4 GB RAM ይሰጠናል. So I prefer this one because cost wise እንደዚህ ሆኖ ረከስ ይላል. So for example, if you use these ones, they look nice because they have bigger memory, ግን more expensive ይሆናሉ. በተወሰነ በትንሽ 2-3 ቀን ውስጥ ብዙ ብር ሊቆጥርባችሁ ይችላል, especially if you're using a pay as you go subscription. So I pick this and select. So this is $38 per month. So በሰዓት ነው ካልኩሌት የሚያደርገው። እንደዚህ በመንዝም ቢሆን every hour ካልኩሌት እያደረገ ቢል ውስጥ ያሳያቸዋል. So if we do the math, this is going to be about 150 አካባቢ or 160 we can do for 4 machines. 38.54 አራት ኖድ ስለሆነ ምንጭ ነው። so 154 ይሆናል ማለት ነው በወር ለአራቱም ኖዶች። ይሄንን በሰዓት ብናካፍለው I think 720 ነው ያለው ሰዓት ጠቅላላ በወር ውስጥ በሰዓት ይሄን ያህል ነው የሚሆነው ማለት ነው። So it's not that expensive, but it's something that to watch for. create አርጋችሁ ከረሳችሁ በጣም ሊቆጥር ይችላል። ለአንድ ሳምንት ምናምን ተጠቀሙ በትንሽ $20-30 ብዙ ነገር ተምሯችሁበት ፖዝ ማድረግ ትችላላችሁ or delete ማድረግ ትችላላችሁ። delete ካልተደረገ አይጠፋም basically, ግን if you stop it ፕራይሱ በጣም ትንሽ ይሆናል, like $1 ምናምን a day for everything. So here I'm going to give a username. So እዚህ ጋር የምንሰጠው username, since we're going to create the first machine which is going to be used as a domain controller, consider it like creating or buying a computer. ለምሳሌ ላፕቶፕ ስትገዙ ልክ ቤት ስትገቡ ቦክሱ ምናምን ከፋፍታችሁ you set it up ምናምን username password ታስገባላችሁ. So that's like a user ይሆናል ማለት ነው, local user ይባላል. So እዚህ ጋር የምንሰጠው user and password for this specific node, which is a Baro DC node, it's going to be like a local user ማለት ነው, local administrator user. So I'm just going to give it a name. You can use your own name as a username. Give it a good, easy to remember password. I'm just going to put in my own private password, but it's still strong and easy to remember. So ሁለቱም ፓስወርዶች ማች አድርገዋል. If you want to check if you know the password ምን አይነት እንደሆነ you can check that. Then next we choose the disks, the kind of disks we're going to use. So for this purpose we're going to use HDD የሚባለውን. It's cheaper. So it's the premium one is a little more expensive. So disk ነው ብዙ ጊዜ ኮስት የሆነው Azure ላይ. And then here under disk መርጠናል. I think that's enough on this page. We go to the next page. We're going to see the networking በተመለከተ ያሉትን ኮምፖነንቶች. Here since we created the IP address ምናምን ኮንፊገር ያደረግንበት ምክንያት አንዱ ይሄ ነው. Here we're gonna come to the networking page where we decide what kind of network this virtual machine network, or I mean virtual machine or node is going to use. So ቅድም ኮንፊገር ስላደረኩት step 2 ላይ I can easily pick the network that I already configured ማለት ነው. So that's why it's already populated here. ቅድም ሁለት ሰብኔቶችን ክሬት ስላደረኩኝ እዚህ ጋር አውቶማቲካሊ ሰብኔቶችን ያስገባል. Like I said, I wanted to use subnet 1 for domain controller. Subnet 2 ደግሞ ይሄኛውን ለሌሎቹ ኖዶች ለኖድ 1 to node 3 ስለምጠቀም for now I'm just going to choose subnet 1. For a public IP address ደግሞ it's going to create a new one because we didn't create earlier. But we could have, but ስሙን ይሰጠውና የኖዱን ስም IP ይለዋል ራሱ by default. So ይሄንን IP address እኛ ዲሳይድ ማድረግ አንችልም here because this is Azure assigning its own IP address, whatever available የሆነውን IP address ይሰጠናል ማለት ነው. This is the IP address that we're going to use to RDP or to remotely connect to the node as it comes online ማለት ነው. We could choose this option if we want the IP addresses to be deleted at the same time when we delete the VM. ለምሳሌ ይሄንን ባሮ ኖድ ያልኩትን ኖድ 1 ይሄ ባሮ DC delete ሳረገው IP addresሶቹንም አብራ አጥፋ ያልኩት ነው. When I select this, it's optional. You don't have to choose it, but if you want, you could select that. I prefer to select that just to let go the IP address as that I delete the machine. Next, we choose management. We could just leave them as a default. There is nothing that we should be concerned on this page for this purpose. And monitoring also, I think the defaults are fine. Advanced, you know, the main parts are የመጀመሪያዎቹ ሶስቱ sections ናቸው. We could just jump to review and create. And then it's going to run a validation. It's going to show a price. Here, like I said, this is per hour. ቅድም በወር ነው ያሳየን ግን በሰዓት ራሱ ከፋፍሎ ያሳየናል. ሶ 5 ሳንቲም 0.05 to 8 ነው በሰዓት ቻርጅ የሚያደርገን ማለት ነው ለዚህ ስፔሲፊክ ማሽን። ለሌሎቹም ኖድ 1 ኖድ 2 ኖድ 3 ስንል ያው በአራት ማባዛት ነው ማለት ነው about 20 cents አካባቢ. So create. Now the good thing about this is ሌላ እንትን ከፍተን ሌላ tab ከፍተን we could start creating all of them side by side. የተለያየ ሪሶርስ ስለሚጠቀሙ ማለት ምንም የሚጋጩበት ነገር ስለሌለ የሚጠቀሙት ሪሶርስ ግሩፕ ያው አንድ ላይ ስቶር የሚደረጉት ኔትወርክ ሼር ቢያደርጉም የተለያየ IP address ነው የሚኖራቸው. they share the IP address on the subnet that we already created. አንዱ አድቫንቴጅ ይሄ ነው. we could just leave this one alone, create ያደርግ. it says deployment is in progress. ሌላ tab እዚህ ጋር ከፍቻለሁ. እዚህ ጋር መጥቼ ሌሎችን ኖዶች ክሬት ማድረግ እችላለሁ just to save some time. So node DC is running. It's going to be up and good to go in a moment. As that runs in the background, let's go ahead and create Baro node 1. ቅድም እንዳልኩት I'm going to use Baro in front of all the resources as a naming convention. So let me copy this because I'm going to use this as my next node. So virtual machine ብዬ መርጫለሁ. ያው እንዳልኩት ቅድም you go to the home page, you pick virtual machines or you could type it here and get the virtual machines. Create baro DC የሚለው create አድርጎስ hold on, it failed. I know why this is failing. ቅድም ኖት ላይ ይዤው ነበረ. Sometimes ይሄ availability set create ሲደረግ convert ወደ managed ምናምን የሚል conversion አለና I forgot to add that to my steps. Let's go back to the availability set. Let's open that. Convert to managed. It shouldn't convert to marag. I forgot to do that. I apologize. I could add that to the step. Let me do that. Yeah. So convert it to managed. So the availability setting, as soon as we set it up, we make sure to convert to managed. Otherwise, it's not going to work. That's why this one failed. You know, and then because step which failed, it's for a reason. That means DC Baro DC successfully እንትን አላደረገም ማለት ነው። create አላደረገም. I think somebody is asking a question. Is that a question? Is someone asking a question?